Okay, today we're going to be revising adding and subtracting with decimals. So let's start with adding. And the two principles we've got to remember are: one, line up the decimal points, and then just think carefully about regrouping. So 13.56, again, I can see I've got my tens, my ones, my tenths, and my hundredths. If I line up the decimal point first, then I can be absolutely certain that I'm going to line up my other number correctly. 6 and 4 is 10, regroup. I'm going to put in my decimal place straight away. 5 and 1 is 6, add the 1 is 7. 3 and 6 is 9. 1 and 2 is 3. And in fact, when I write down my final answer, I can get rid of this placeholder. It's not telling me anything, so I've got 39.7. Now this one here, 23.5, again, you can see now I've got different numbers of digits, so a little alarm bell needs to go in my head thinking, oh dear, what do I need to do? I'm going to line up that decimal point first and put the 9 in the ones column, 4 in the tenths column, put in my decimal point. 5 add 4 is 9, 9 and 3 is 12, regroup. 2 and 1, so I get 32.9. And they're very similar here. I'm going to put in my decimal point straight away. 23 goes in like that, 0.85. What I might want to do is just put in a placeholder here. So I'm adding 0 and 5. Put in my decimal point first. 0 and 5 hundredths is 5 hundredths. 5 tenths, add 8 tenths. Is going to be 13 tenths, so I need to regroup 1 and 3 tenths. 4 and 3 is 7, add the 1 is 8, 1 and 2 is 3, so I get 38.35. And remember, we read that not 35, 38.35, not 38.35. So your turn now, pause the video, just think carefully about your decimal points and your regrouping. Okay, I hope you've had a good go at that. So let's line everything up. 8 and 4, put in my decimal point straight away just so I don't forget. 8 and 4 is 12. 5 and 6 is 11. Add the 1 gives me 12. 74.32, going to put in my decimal point. 12.78. 2 and 8 is 10. 3 and 7 is 10. Add that 1 is 11. Regroup, don't forget the decimal point. 4 and 2 is 6. Add the 1 is 7. And 7 add 1 is 8. So I get 87.10, or just 87.1. Remember, that placeholder there is not telling me anything, so I don't need to write it. 25.35, put in that decimal point. So 3 is going in the ones column, 7 is going in the tenths column, and I might just add a placeholder here so that it's a little bit easier to see what's going on. Put in my decimal point. 5 add 0 is 5. 3 add 7 is 10. 5 and 8 is 5 and 3 is 8. Add the 1 is 9. 2 and nothing is 2. So I get 29.05. Subtraction, very similar, although possibly a little bit harder because we've just got to think a little bit more about our regrouping. So nice and straightforward, put in the decimal point. 6 subtract 2 is 4. 7 subtract 5 is 2. Now what's going on here? Well, put in the decimal point. So the 8 goes in the ones column. Might just need to do some regrouping now. So put in my decimal point in the difference. I'm going to need to regroup here. 16 subtract 9 is 7. 3 subtract 7, I need to regroup again. 13 subtract 7 is 6. 4 subtract 8, I need to regroup. 14 subtract 8 is 6, so I get 6.67. This is the trickier type of example though now, the final one. So again, I'm going to put in my decimal point to line up the digits. Now, if I were not thinking, I might just say, oh, okay, 8 subtract nothing is 8. But actually, that's not what's going on, is it? It's really saying I've got no hundredths, subtract 8 hundredths. I can't do that, so I need to regroup. So I must put in this placeholder here to show that I've got no hundredths in the number that I'm starting with. So I'm going to take one of my tenths, turn it into 10 hundredths. 10 subtract 8 is 2. Can't do 3 subtract 7 in this context, so I need to get some more tenths. 13 subtract 7 is 6. And then 5 subtract 2 is 3. And 50 subtract 10 is 40. So I get 43.6 2. So your turn now. Again, don't forget to look across at my examples if you're stuck at all. Really think, particularly in this one here, what needs to happen to this number before I can do this calculation. Pause the video, unpause when you're ready. Okay, 56.43, put in that decimal point, 13.15. 3 subtract 5, I need to regroup. So 13 subtract 5 is 8. Put in my decimal point, 3 subtract 1 is 2. 6 subtract 3 is 3. 5 subtract 1 is 4. Again, put in that decimal point, then the 5 I can be confident goes in that ones column just next to the decimal point. 3, 4. Going to need to regroup. Don't forget the decimal point. 6 subtract 5 is 1, and 4 subtract nothing is 4. Now this one here is the really key one. Put in the decimal point, 7.48. Now because I'm subtracting, I need to make sure there's this placeholder here. 0 subtract 8, that then reminds me I can't do, so I need to get some more hundredths by taking one of my tenths and regrouping it into 10 hundredths. 10 subtract 8 is 2. 1 subtract 4 I can't do, so I'm going to take 1 1 and turn it into 10 tenths. 11 subtract 4 is 7. 4 subtract 7 I can't do, so let's do some regrouping. 14 subtract 7 is 7, so I'm left with 7.72. So have a great go now at your independent task, and just remember these two things: line up the decimal points, think really carefully about regrouping, especially whether you need to put in any place holders. Particularly, I'd say, with subtraction. Just that's the one you would be really, really careful about.